Azzy's going to talk to you today about triggers.
The sex talk.
Trigger is this kind of word du jour these days, kind of like self-care is. People throw this word around without really understanding what it means. And when we use the word trigger as therapists, we really are talking about something that I addressed in the past in a previous video, was this idea that we have experienced this emotion before. And so a trigger is something that we hear it, we see it, we smell it, maybe we taste it, some sort of stimulus that appears, and all of a sudden that emotion comes back and it's flooding our body. And that happens a lot of times in sexual situations too. But you can actually take this opportunity to start to understand how triggers show up in your life, whether it's sexually or if it's in some other aspect of your life. Basically, it's just an exercise that I want you to start paying attention to the emotions as they show up and what is happening in your body. Because too often when we experience a trigger or an activation, as I like to call it also, really what's happening is we're often running. We're often running and we're responding really fast. We're making like really fast reactions. And what I want you to start to pay attention to is the emotion that triggers the reaction. You don't want to react. Basically, you want to practice non-emotional reactivity. And what that means, a lot of people think non-emotional reactivity means that, we ignore the feeling or we ignore the emotion, but we don't. We acknowledge the emotion. We write down the emotion. We ask ourselves, how old is this emotion? When have I experienced this emotion before? What is this bringing up for me? What is happening in my body when I experience this emotion? What does this remind me of? Who was there? Is that all of that that's coming up for me true in this current situation? Because a lot of times it's not. We're bringing all this old stuff into this new situation. And so it's not actually even accurate. So a trigger then becomes something old that we are assigning to a new situation because it feels the same. It's a trigger, right? It's bringing up the same emotions. So we respond in a way that's maybe not appropriate for the situation that we're responding to. Maybe we're overreacting. Maybe we're targeting somebody that we're not even upset with. Maybe we are so triggered that we're saying all kinds of things that we don't even mean. We're doing things that we might regret, like becoming rageful or storming away or saying really cruel things to someone. Anything that you do that could potentially hurt somebody because you were triggered is what we're trying to prevent, right? And in sexual situations that can happen too. Something happens and all of a sudden an old wound comes back up. And so you lash out at the person that you're with. Don't do it that way. Or, you were horrible at going down on me yesterday. Like these responses, we can't take them back, right? So when we sort of like this exercise that I've devised, I tell my clients to do it often, is thinking about how old this feeling is just a process for you to start slowing down, so that you don't respond in these emotionally reactive ways. You become emotionally non-reactive. You understand that this is an old feeling. You process it I often have my clients put that feeling in an anger bag. If they're in a situation where they don't have time to process it, they like put it in an imaginary anger bag. Or I have a client who actually has an actual anger bag. You put it in an anger bag. That means, hey, I'm not ignoring you. I know you're there. I don't have time to deal with you right now, but I'm not going to let that anger get the best of me. Later, we go back into our anger bag and we do journaling around it. We process it. We start to get to the core of things. But triggers happen sometimes when we're in situations that we can't help it. We just lose our cool. And so this exercise is to help you learn to control those emotions. Don't let the emotions control you. You have control over your emotions. So that's just sort of the beginning of how we begin to manage our feelings and situations. It is easier said than done at times, and it takes a lot of work. And I really, really salute you for starting this journey. I'll talk to you soon.
The Sex Talk.